I want to read this excerpt from a Carlos Castaneda book. I believe it's The Active Side of Infinity, if I'm not mistaken, where this quote comes from. Don Juan, the Mexican Yaqui Indian shaman, tells Carlos Castaneda the following in this excerpt. Quote, "We have a predator that came from the depths of the cosmos and took over the rule of our lives. Human beings are its prisoners. The predator is our Lord and Master. It has rendered us docile, helpless. If we want to protest, it suppresses our protest. If we want to act independently, it demands that we don't do so. I have been beating around the bush all this time, insinuating to you that something is holding us prisoner. Indeed, we are held prisoner." This was an energetic fact for the sorcerers of ancient Mexico. They took us over because we are food for them, and they squeeze us mercilessly because we are their sustenance. Just as we rear chickens in chicken coops, the predators rear us in human coops, humaneros. Therefore, their food is always available to them. Carlos Castaneda replies to Don Juan, No, this is absurd, Don Juan. What you're saying is something monstrous. It simply cannot be true. For sorcerers, or for average men, or for anyone. And Don Juan responds calmly, why not? Why? Why not? Because it infuriates you? That's why it can't be true? You haven't heard all the claims yet. I want to appeal to your analytical mind. Think for a moment and tell me how you would explain the contradictions between the intelligence of man the engineer and the stupidity of his systems of belief, or the stupidity of his contradictory behavior. Sorcerers believe that the predators have given us our systems of belief and our ideas of good and evil, our social mores. They are the ones who set up our hopes and expectations and dreams of success or failure. They have given us covetousness, greed, and cowardice. It is the predators who make us complacent, routinary, and egomaniacal. But how can they do this, Don Juan? Carlos asked. Somehow, angered even further by what Don Juan was saying. Do they whisper all that in our ears while we are asleep? No, they don't do it that way. That's idiotic, Don Juan said, smiling. They are infinitely more efficient and organized than that. In order to keep us obedient and meek and weak, the predators engage themselves in a stupendous maneuver. Stupendous, of course, from the point of view of a fighting strategist. A horrendous maneuver from the point of view of those who suffer it. They gave us their mind. Do you hear me? The predators gave us their mind, which becomes our mind. The predator's mind is baroque, contradictory, morose, filled with the fear of being discovered any minute now. I know that even though you have never suffered hunger, you have food anxiety, which is none other than the anxiety of the predator who fears that at any moment now its maneuver is going to be uncovered and food is going to be denied it. Through the mind, which after all is their mind, the predators inject into the lives of human beings whatever is convenient for them. And they ensure in this manner a degree of security to act as a buffer against their fear. The sorcerers of ancient Mexico were quite ill at ease with the idea of when the predator made its appearance on earth. They reasoned that man must have been a complete being at one point with stupendous insights, feats of awareness that are mythological legends nowadays. And then everything seems to disappear, and we now have a sedated man. What I am saying is that we have against us not a simple predator. It is very smart and very organized. It follows a methodical system to render us useless. Man, the magical being that he is destined to be, is no longer magical. He is an average piece of meat. There are no more dreams for man, but the dreams of an animal who is being raised to become a piece of meat, trite, conventional, and imbecilic. That's from Carlos Castaneda's The Active Side of Infinity. And while Don Juan there might be putting out a very dark worldview, I would ask people to listen to what he's actually saying there. That a predator that is not part of us has come from the depths of the cosmos and took over this place. Took over the rule of our lives, and they did it by the stupendous maneuver of infecting us with their mindset, with their worldview, with their ideology. Our mind is now working as their mind. We are taking up their ways. We have taken up their ways. They gave us, he says, they gave us our systems of belief. They gave us our systems of belief. All of our religions. All of them. Not just some of them, all of them. They gave us the monetary system. Okay? They gave us the slavery system called government. And yet we propagate it because we have their same mindset. Very, very, very difficult for people to hear. Don Juan didn't want to, Carlos Castaneda didn't want to hear it from this wise man. He didn't want to hear it. And Don Juan asked him, why can't it be? When Carlos Castaneda says this is absurd, it can't be true, he says, why not? Why can't that be true? Because you get mad at it? So you're the arbiter of truth of what happened here in the ancient past, long before you were born? See, this is where people's mindset that won't look at possibilities that may have occurred. I'm not telling you have to accept it as gospel truth. But if your mind is closed to the possibility that something here happened in our ancient past that we are loath to accept and understand because of how uncomfortable it is, we may never understand our true origins if that's our mindset. We may never understand what put us in our current condition, in our current mental condition. First and foremost, what created all these disorders, these genetic disorders and defects in the human genome? Human beings have over 4,000 specific genetic disorders within the human genome. No other animal on this planet has that many genetic defects in its genome. None. Zero. We're the only animal that's not naturally adapted to living on the surface of this planet, except the other animals that we genetically modified, like the domesticated dog and cat. Why would that be the case? And people will say, that's just natural. That's how evolution worked upon us. I don't think that's how evolution works, period. I don't really accept that personally. I think that's a twisted Darwinian worldview that is actually really stretching for an explanation. I don't think it has Occam's razor applied whatsoever, to tell you the truth. Not a bit, not at all.